While playing Wuthering Waves and interacting with his community, I am seeing the same issues surface again and again. And I was quite surprised to see what I see on Twitter being reflected in my own comment section. So I wanted to make this video to briefly talk about what I observed and what I think WuWa and his community is struggling the most with at the moment. I think everybody is well aware that WuWa has seen immense success. Well deserved, I might add, because I have played many of the large gachas, and I am confident in saying that to this day, WuWa is definitely one of the top gachas to play. But that doesn't mean it is free from issues. To summarize my findings throughout my time playing, I believe WuWa is struggling with two major factors: its audience and its identity. You can well consider Renacida to have revived the game in a sense, being a massive upgrade in quality from its launch. This naturally attracted a massive audience. I mean, many players felt betrayed by other large gacha companies for their greed and lack in quality, as WuWa defined new standards for the overall gacha space. Many others just enjoyed its fast-paced combat or the beautiful graphics and animations. And others enjoyed the flying mechanic and ended up staying for the story or its characters. But here's the thing. It is still such a broad audience playing WuWa for many different reasons that the opinions about the game move in all sorts of directions. In my opinion, Renacida felt experimental, with Kuro Games using this newly acquired audience to test what kinds of characters the player base enjoyed the most, what type of gameplay players were hoping for, how the story could excite and retain the most people, and how far they could go with things like fan service, among many other things. We know Kuro is working closely with player feedback, and that is a good thing. But the way I see it, you have a bunch of different types of players, each expecting different things. So even when you take in the most dominant feedback, you will always end up disappointing some type of player, regardless of what you do. Normally, players just get filtered out, stop playing the game, and you end up with an audience that truly appreciates what you do. But this is just not the case with WuWa. There is no target audience, despite many trying to convince you otherwise. The way it felt with Renacida, each character kind of tried to appeal to a different audience, and the story was written in a way it would appeal to the most number of people. But it is important to realize that not every player can be appeased, and losing players along the way because they do not enjoy the game is a necessary sacrifice in a way. You really want an audience that can be defined, not a cluster of different types, because otherwise they will try to take this filter into their own hands by grouping up and gatekeeping. This is something the WuWa community is 100% struggling with at the moment. And of course, it is incredibly pathetic. You, as the player, do not decide what the devs develop and who gets to enjoy it. It's as simple as that. It kind of reminds me of this one Hell's Kitchen clip.
You do not decide what goes out of this kitchen.
I don't know.
Get out!
Yes, chef.
Get out, you!
Now, WuWa's other issue, its lack of identity, is likely the biggest cause for its undefinable audience. When compared in a constructive way, WuWa does a lot better than other gacha games, but I believe it is not trying to do any more than that. It still employs industry standard prices, similar gameplay elements, similar limited time events, similar characters, and similar storytelling. It just does a lot of it better than others, while never being the quote-unquote best in anything. I think its strong suit is its exploration with its flying and bike mechanics, but that is not enough to really make WuWa stand out. And it is upsetting to see the game sacrificing much of its quality just to be as broad in appeal as possible. As a creator, I strongly believe that your creative work takes the #1 priority before anything else. When you make a story, that story, with all its characters, should be the dearest thing to you. Telling that story to the best of your abilities is supposed to be the top priority. After that, you can think about optimal gameplay that suits the storytelling, and only then come things like monetization to mind, if it is something required to keep the project alive. And I disagree with the way Kuro Games is handling this. I think I've proven enough that character designs in WuWa tend to be made to appeal to certain audiences, to the point they become disruptive to the story or misrepresent the character. Some other points include past characters being neglected in order to introduce the current on-banner unit, the writing making it difficult to realize a character's emotions and create a meaningful connection with them, the main protagonist being written in a way that makes them appear dull, emotionless, and sometimes disconnected, and allowing the player to insert themselves into most situations, and topics like love or death being heavily suppressed at times. These are not good tropes. They hinder the story's potential just to be accessible to more people and thus generate more income. WuWa is absolutely on the better side of Gacha. But when we, as the community, begin to excuse the game's lack in quality due to the fact it is a gacha, then we're just accepting mediocrity. The story of Wuthering Waves feels intentionally dulled. Its standardized daily and endgame systems are destroying long-term fun. Constant character marketing neglects previously released characters. Many lack proper character development or even involvement throughout the story. Gacha currency prices are out of proportion. Behind the scenes are active gatekeeping groups of players. Banner and development times hinder necessary performance optimization. Apparent solutions make it into the game that actually just make grinding worse or seem off as greedy depending on the implementation. These are just some of the problems that hold WuWa back in my opinion. So far, the soundtrack, the shaders, the world building, many of the NPCs and the Fractidus have carried it by a long shot. And when it comes to the most crucial of parts, it fails to deliver to that same level of quality. But don't get me wrong, if you enjoy WuWa in its current state, then more power to you. I am more so speaking for myself and those who feel similar about this. I'm not trying to ruin the fun of those who still enjoy their time in the game. In general, Gacha is a villain on its own, but it only becomes a true problem if it attacks the game's quality by taking priority in some way. And this is what happens in most cases. Each of the problems I just stated are a result of that exact phenomenon. While Gacha never adds anything positive, it can synergize with a game, making it an optional activity for the player and a funding opportunity for the developer. But treat Gacha as a market, and you are dealing with unethical marketing to even player exploitation. I want you to remember that if you try and compare any of the big general audience gachas, all you are doing is comparing which is the lesser evil. And yes, WuWa is one of them. I'd really wish for Kuro to find its element with WuWa, rather than changing their approach each region. But keep in mind that the number one priority is the story and its characters. As I said many times before, characters are not meant to be a product for sale. They are the medium with which to tell the story, and it should stay that way. I will have to catch up with the story to properly judge the recent two versions, but I have heard promising things from 3.1. I just really hope we will reach the point where the story has a definitive direction. One good patch does not excuse the rest. And please, for the love of Imperator, take your time to optimize the game in both size and performance. But that's it from me. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't let anyone rob you of your voice and opinion. And remember, salvation, ascension, and unity. This will be the one true path.